So in these videos I'm going to sort of rebuild from scratch how I made this sort of fire explosion in the Bifrost Graph in Maya. There's not massive amounts of information about the Bifrost Graph at the moment. I did get I watched this combustion solver parameters overview. That was quite handy, and as was these master classes getting started with the Aero Solver, and also just looking at the Bifrost Forum and Autodesk. I'll put the links below. So getting started, I'm going to go through literally every sort of step of the way to get to this point. So the first thing we need to think about is scene scale and what size we're going to model things that we want to sort of use as our explosive emitters or colliders and all that sort of stuff. So all sort of physics-based dynamic simulations in Maya treat one of these grid units as a meter. And in Maya, if you go to settings, it sort of says they're centimeters. So if you went by that, you would think that this cup was 9 centimeters high, sort of about the sort of standard size of a sort of takeaway coffee cup. But to the simulator, it would be 9 meters high and be some sort of massive vat. And this will have an effect on your simulations if you don't take this into consideration, in the sense that this will be a large body of water falling into here rather than, you know, a cupful, and it will simulate in a way that will probably look quite slow-mo, and you won't get the sort of realistic results you might want. You could model the cup to scale. I'm going to zoom in here like that, and that would be the cup at sort of correct scale in the real world. But as you can see, it's very small in the scene, and you can get, you know, it's sort of brings up its own sort of issues when you're dealing with objects that small in Maya. So how Bifrost sorts this out is you can, if we go to the graph, and I've just got the solver settings here, you can set the scene unit. So by default it's at 1 meter, so you could say make it 0.1, which would be 10 centimeters would be one of these grid cubes, or if you made it 0.01, then that would be equal to a centimeter. The reason why it's good to sort of get this sorted out at the very beginning is if you sort of halfway through and you've modeled this size and you've left this at a meter and you realize it's looking all a bit slow and not quite the way you want, if you go in and now change this, you'll have to go through all your settings and change them as well, and it can be a real pain. So it's something that's good to take into consideration right from the beginning of, you know, this is equal to a meter, and just to have that in your head when you're making your models. Or if you're making it to a different size, just know to sort of change this right at the very beginning. And the other thing, which can be sort of quite a basic thing, but sometimes people miss it, is that when you're doing simulations in Maya, you have to change your playback speed to play every frame. Otherwise, the simulation won't work properly, because Maya will skip frames, and simulations need to go through every single frame. So, though most people know this, if you don't, it can cause you some problems. So just to make sure that that's that. In the next video, I will start setting up the explosion.